Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever show of the Nathan Pablik Show. All we do is show the examples and give a good example and be the good example of what all of the information going all over social media, going all throughout conversations, and give an example of what that looks like so you can implement that into your life and improve yourself, improve your love life, improve your family, improve your work, improve your business, and just kind of watch and learn and implement. Please make sure you do that. All right, everyone. So first off, welcome to the Nathan Pablik Show. I want to introduce you to the great man, one of two fantastic things in my personal life, my first ever life mentor, and a good man that I get to call my brother, Johaan. Welcome, man.
And thank you for having me on the show. Pleasure to everybody watching and listening. It's an awesome time of the year to be here. And, thank you for having me on your show to share a story and really just chop it up with you, my man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. Thank you for being here, man. Just being the first part to the journey. And we just had a brief little conversation right before. We're calling this 1% better than yesterday. It's a big 1%. It's a big 1%.
Yep.
Never mind. Keep it humble. So man, we're gonna start off with just tell the viewers and tell me and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So just to give you guys some context, I am an out of the box living type of person. So what I mean by out of the box is, for context, I used to be the individual who believed in go to school, get good grades, honor the family line, keep the last name strong, right? Go to school, get good grades, go to university with a degree, graduate from university with being some textbook expert. That and or joining the military, get to officers training and really, stack up. To give you some context about that, that was the box I was in because I grew up a very military style Christian private school. And either you were going to go off to be an academic, off to be a pastor, or off to be somebody in the military with the goal of making it into officers training and becoming an officer in whatever branch of the military. The majority of us were Air Force, Navy, few Army, but mainly Air Force and Navy people. Only two were out of the Marines, and everybody else in the faculty outside of that were Army, Coast Guard, and you name it. Even the Royal RAF was there too, so that's pretty cool. But yeah.
Roy RAF. What is that?
Oh, the British Royal Air Force.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a member.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a member there who was a part of the Deacons. He served in Her Majesty's Royal Air Force. Not for what he did specifically, but it's a prestigious title. I don't think I would shake a stick at anybody who did serve in Her Majesty's military. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you got Royal in the name. I definitely don't shake a stick at that one.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's actually I got curious from that. Tell me more about that Royal that Royal British Navy, because my brother, that's really funny that you came from a military background. I don't think I've ever told you this either. My brother served in the Marines from, I believe, 04 to 08.
Okay.
He did infantry. He was in Iraq and Afghanistan. Seen a bunch of stuff. He's not doing the greatest right now, but he did serve our country. So I just found that kind of that's funny that you came from a military background and how we just connected and just became freaking great friends. So go a little bit more into the British Royal Navy.
Okay. Well, yeah, I want to provide some context with you. So first and foremost, I was associated with somebody who served in the British Royal Air Force. The school
Air Force, my bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
the school that we went to, all of the teachers, professors, creators, athletic directors, and all that, they were 1 degree of separation from military service, or they were active or reserve military operatives. So we had, just to give you some solid context, my principal at the time during my early, primary school, middle school days. He was a 4-star admiral in the U.S. Navy. I had 2 people who had served in Nam. I had a historian who was he was a gunnery sergeant in the Marines. My varsity basketball coach, he was active in Air Force. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. He was the basketball coach for the varsity basketball team. And then the son of the pastor of the church, who his brother served in the Navy, he was the junior varsity coach at the time. As years progressed, everything changed. My football coach, soccer for the Americans, he was a military vet from Korea whose mom took him and brought him over to America for safety. On and on the list goes. So even the ladies, like the women who were, English teachers, math teachers, maybe some science teachers and economic teachers, they were all married to men in military service. So there was just no where you looked, discipline was required at a young age. So that was the upbringing. So yeah, I never served, but my father, just to give you more on me, he was a civilian contracted by the military. So growing up, the only thing that I ever saw were businessmen who were connected to the military or ex-military, businessmen who were never part of military, and then a lot of the civilian people that he had grown up with or he had met at college who ended up working in the same department, which is a civilian outfit contracted by the military. So they worked directly with, at the time,
Wow.
it was called Patrick Air Force Base. Now it's called Patrick Space Force Base for anybody who's watching and listening that might frequent the East Coast of Florida.
Man, growing up with all that military background and being around majority of businessmen and women too, how did you really implement that discipline that you saw them doing growing up?
Really great question, by the way. So the way how I implemented that discipline was I was not afraid to talk to them and ask them the bizarre question. So I'll give you some context. The stereotypical question that a lot of the kids that I was growing up with at the primary school, they were asking questions more so from a religious standpoint of view, right? Because it's a Christian private school. I get that. And there were some businessmen in the the association. Every time I saw them, they moved differently. There was a sense of calm about them, and they seemed to be rather unfazed with the ebb and flows of the environment, right? So when I was around them, I would just ask them particular questions, just something simple. You're a businessman. What do you do? How long have you done it for? How did you solve for this? Or how did you end up getting this car? I'm just thinking about the questions that I asked them when I was a teenager, right? They were,
And then just one question leads to another and another and another.
exactly. And over time, I saw the dichotomy between the regular people at the church and in the Christian private school and the business, the kind of corner, and how they operated differently. So yeah, I was just able to ask them those questions of real, curiosity and imagination, and I was able to shape myself into that because they were the most attractive group out of everyone else in the area. I hope that answers you.
I can see how it's. That's freaking fantastic. That was fantastic, man. That was great answer. Having with the religious and growing in the church and having like the businessmen come out of that, you can't stop it. Like you just can't stop. And when you said they were really calm, that's exactly what it says in the Bible too. With being humble, you are exalted in order to be. Before you are humbled, you are exalted, and when you are exalted, you are humbled. And definitely keeping that like just calm demeanor, that calm speaking,
Mm-hmm.
it just comes from just having God at the center and really being able and courageous enough and calm enough to ask those questions. Because it's a little bit personal too.
Very.
And really, like, you can't just go up to anyone like and say like, hey, like, tell me your life story, you know, or like ask them like, hey, how have you implemented discipline into your upbringing, right? You can't just like go up to them and ask them.
Yeah.
So really having that like momentum of asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
it shows your curiosity, and it's like your curiosity into getting to know that person in front of you and improving yourself too.
It definitely.
It's a little teaching moment.
No, yeah, it definitely comes hand in hand, especially being in that environment. I think the beautiful thing that I grew up with, it was kind of like a catch-22, if I'm using it in the proper context,
Mm-hmm.
double-sided, a double-edged sword. There's
Mm-hmm.
people who live their life in a performative way. I was one of them. I knew that in the environment that I was growing up in, it was very awesome to have a mentor at a very young age who was, guiding you in the particular direction. And in order to gain mentorship, you had to have like certain key measures of success. So
Mm-hmm.
you were either a proficient.
In order to get, I'm sorry, in order to get into the mentorship, you had to have like prerequisites.
Yeah, think about that. In order to gain the attention of a particular mentor who, took favor in you, you would have
Mm-hmm.
to do a couple of things. I'll use myself as an example. There were a lot of individuals who
Mm-hmm.
were at that school. Their parents were, business minded, and they were very like forward thinking. They would thought of myself an elite level athlete because of how I was performing and what I was doing and how I just handled certain times of pressure better than others.
Okay.
So that was one.
Okay.
And as a result, a lot of people were recommending that I should, try for this sport, go here, go there, chat to this person and all that. And that's a good indicator. I was doing something naturally that I did thoroughly enjoy. And then people saw
Mm-hmm.
potential, they made recommendations. The same thing could be said about an academic. There was, to give you an example, there's a guy by the name of John
Mm-hmm.
Stewart. I'm still connected with him to this day. So he is a good example of like the military track I was telling you about, right?
Mm-hmm.
He excelled in academics, very sharp kid, bit of a goofball, but very sharp kid.
Mm-hmm.
Will Ferrell was like, I swear to God, Will Ferrell and the guys from like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia must have been like
Yeah.
his grandparents or his family members, because this guy was hilarious at points.
It was a good good collaboration. Yeah.
And I remember that one time
Uh-huh.
he made mention that he wanted to get into the military. And based upon just sitting down having a conversation with somebody, he had met with one of the generals who had been going to our church at the time. Fast forward 10 years later from that point, I believe he's retired from the military, but he ended up serving in the security forces of the Air Force, which would be, in my understanding, a special forces detachment of the Air Force. So yeah,
Okay.
that's what he did. So there's a few others who kind of followed suit in their own little, their own
Mm-hmm.
military careers. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the generation that I was in at the time. And that's what I mean. It that childhood experience does pave the way to a lot of the things that I've experienced as an entrepreneur in my past life, in the past 15 years, and
Mm-hmm.
what I see right now. It helped.
That's amazing. I know I know in the military there's so many mindsets that are just trained and pounded into your day-to-day life. I wasn't in the military. I just had my brother to kind of go off of this.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the Sean Ryan show. I've been watching him a lot. I know you mentioned him too, man. I've been watching him so much, and just all of the great soldiers, all the great people that he interviews. There's so many like mindsets that not only the military implements, but businessmen implement too. And like our day-to-day lives and business and family and whatever. Because they have the upper hand because they're in the military. They're just like, all right, cool, we're gung ho. Um, what made you make that switch? I believe we did talk about this yesterday off camera, but what was your turning point from having that military childhood background into business?
It was a beautiful marriage that I didn't quite see the full picture of, but I unconsciously felt it throughout my years of being a childhood athlete and then also stemming into my athleticism as an adulthood, right? It also formed into business. If there's one thing that I understand about military individuals, that they're going through this brick force training to develop mind over matter, to have mastery of mind over matter, so that they can physically do anything. And I'm more so referring to the small selection of individuals who make it through a special forces training, or individuals who are choosing to go the army route or the Marines route, and they're purposely put through a litany of pressure. And old history teacher who was a gunnery sergeant in the Marines put it the best way. There's a lot of tough SLBs who think they're tough SLBs, who think they're going to be, the next Rambo. Then they meet somebody who actually is Rambo in the Marines, and they put them through the test. Some of them don't make it, but for the individuals who do make it, they've got the mental toughness to make the decision. They decided to go through, in reference to Gary Vee, right? Because I think he put it bluntly. They've developed the mental toughness to eat the shit sandwich, see that as a reward or a token that they have to, pay or invest in order to get to excellence. Because you're not going to be eating a shit sandwich for the rest of your life. You just have to go through this at the beginning because everybody needs that training. And for entrepreneurship, I saw that there was a lot of, like, in order for you to become a really successful entrepreneur, you have to stay consistent. And that's something that the military does. The military just breeds consistency. You could be nobody. You could be somebody who's maybe a couple pounds overweight, and you get in, you go to MEPS, you do your medical screening, you go off to the recruiter, I'm pretty sure it's ASVAB first, MEPS second. Then once you have your test back and your labs are solid, you've already chosen the branch of military that you're going through. You've picked the path that you want to go into, and based upon your tests, then you would have to go through the ceremony of putting your hand on the Bible, meeting your recruiting officer or your CEO at the point, and witnesses who are active duty. You swear in, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have officially you've been officially contracted, accepted in to military role. And from that point on, it's just consistency. That's it. And it really depends upon your body. It really depends upon like the career path that you choose, where consistency breeds intensity in those key areas. Because the military is not all about military might being a physical weapon, right? There's the medical aspect of it. There's the mechanical aspect of it. There's the economic aspect of it. There's the travel aspect of it, air traffic aspect of it. There's the human management aspect of it. There's the leadership aspect of it. It compounds, and everything is a well-versed engine. One thing that you kind of hinted upon when it comes to taking that military mindset and then sweeping it over into business, like for me personally, a lot of people don't know this, but some of the best people that get the job done when it comes to entrepreneurship are those men and women who have military training, because they are engineered to strip away all the fat and only focus on the mechanics that breed efficiency. Getting results in a short amount of time, which have a net positive outcome and results for a number of months or years down the road. They think long term, and they're always asking themselves, what can I do right now to make sure that I'm staying aligned indelibly with that end result? And that's something that carried over to me. Just to
Consistently.
Mhm. Consistency breeds key, having consistency breeds success, making knowing the difference between a good decision and a bad decision. Um,
Mhm.
that breeds success in the area. And then also not being afraid to ask questions. It doesn't matter. Like I was saying earlier, like when my gunnery sergeant was telling me about the Marines and how people think they're Rambo until they meet Rambo and then they get their butt kicked. And then only a small few people, make it through.
Make it out to be Rambo.
Exactly. Um, that analogy that he gives me kind of ties into this. They're never afraid to ask questions. It doesn't matter what they've accomplished in the past. They're never afraid or too egotistical to ask questions. And those are the things
Mhm.
that really carried over into my entrepreneurship. I made the switch from military into entrepreneurship during my when I was 18, going on 19. I met a Marine combat photographer who served in Vietnam, and I was telling him
Mhm.
that I wanted to join the military. I told him I wanted to be a PJ. I met him in a car wash. When he told me that he was military, I immediately thanked him for his service. I asked him what he needed, and he just belted out orders like, "Need the car washed, need it waxed, need it done." I just said, "Yes, sir, we got it. Here's the fee for it." Paid, sent the money over to the lady, started washing his car, got stuff done. He was out. I asked him what his name was. He asked me what my name was. I told him. He told me
Mhm.
Jim Wade. And I remember when I was doing that, just to give a personal story.
Of course.
We originally met up to go to the Air Force recruiter, and my goal was to get into the Air Force to become a pararescue jumper, which a lot of people don't know this. It sounds cool, but in
Mhm.
short, the pararescue jumper is basically given special forces training. They're an elite group of people who have like world class, top tier medical skills to
Mhm.
assist people in like the most traumatic scenes medically
Mhm.
in that way to stabilize them enough so that they can be transported from a danger zone to the exfil point where they can be airlifted out of a dangerous area and
Mhm.
get to a facility where they can be operated in and be fully rehabilitated from that instance.
Mhm.
I don't know the narrow numbers of like, what's a close call, but
Mhm.
they're trained in weapons and munitions, they're trained in weapons maneuvering, they're trained in a lot of things, and they're also trained in medical, specifically heavy on the medical side, but they're still going through those paces because you have to go behind enemy lines to save somebody. And kind of had a hero complex, but I also had a bit of an ego complex. Like, you know something? If I can survive, and oh, this is the kid in me. This is the teenager in me. I was such a rebel, man. I was saying, if I can figure out how to run a 7-minute mile as somebody who has asthma, and if I can train my body to perform two 45-minute halves of consistent sprinting and running and shoulder
Mhm.
holding in a football match,
Mhm.
then I can do that. Then when went to my recruiter, I went to Jim Wade. He was going to
Mhm.
take me to the recruiting office. He asked me, "Okay, look," and he wasn't being racist, but he had to ask the question. He had to ask the question of me if I ever got into any trouble, and if there's anything that I've done that would be considered wrong, let me know. So I said, no,
Mhm.
I haven't done anything wrong. I've been at this school for my life, doing this, surrounded by these people. The only thing I have is I got a medical history thicker than the Bible because I've been in and out of like or using prescriptions and stuff like that. And that was it. That was
Wow.
when I got to the recruiting office, and I'll just wrap this story up because we got some time here.
Mhm. Mhm.
He told me don't say anything about the medical record. So I said, okay,
Sorry about that one too.
yeah,
Continue.
go to the recruiting office. They just see this old guy who identified himself as a Marine. So they paid their respects to him. He did the same. Walked into the office and he said, we're going to get this guy in military service. They look at me and I showed up to the recruiting office in my blue and my whites. So my whites were press collared shirt with my school insignia name on it. I'm in a blue tie, polished belt, polished shoes, and pleated pants. I look the Navy's looking at me and the Air Force is looking at me. The Marines and the Army,
Yeah, best of both worlds right there, man.
they're looking at me like, who is this kid? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You just want to join the military? It's like, yeah. So the Navy and the Air
I'm
Force were
here.
looking at me, but I said, I just told them I'm here for the Air Force.
Hmm.
Now, I get into the recruiting office. I told them specifically, look, I want to join the Air Force and I want to become an Air Force PJ. They knew I had direction, they knew I had intensity, and they knew that I had no fluff. I knew exactly what I wanted. So they kept the conversation short. They asked me, did I have a criminal record? I was like, no, I'm too young to have a criminal record.
Hmm. Well, let's see, man.
Yeah,
And for the PJ, the PJ was that
pararescue jumpers.
rescue jumpers. Okay, okay, gotcha. I was gonna say paraglider medic for a second, but and then PJ.
It's all good. Yeah, I kind of wanted to give a backstory to this because it's super important to me. It was a pivotal moment in my childhood that really defined this, where I stepped away from pursuing the military course to go into entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Sit down with the recruiter, we go over everything, and I told him, this is what I do, this is what I want to do. So because I came back clean, they couldn't find anything on me. Clearly, I was too young
Hmm.
to do anything irresponsible. Plus, when they looked at the school and they saw who my professors, deans, and everybody else was, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Hmm.
No, you are exactly who we expect you to be based upon the name on your shirt and who runs the place. Great.
How you're dressed and what you have on your record, and you showed up.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
association because I wasn't the
Hmm.
first person from that school who went into recruiting offices that turned out to be really great candidates. So I told them what's going on. They asked me about the record. I said, no, look, the only thing I have, and this is where it kind of broke me, but I'm glad
Hmm.
I did this.
Hmm.
They told me that I have to be under oath, like under oath in front of the person who would have been my commanding officer and my other person in rank and file. I have to tell
Hmm.
the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So it was like being in court, but I didn't feel like I was being interrogated. It was just, no, I'm telling the truth.
That's good.
Because the military oath, one thing that's in the creed, one of the military branches creed is service above self and integrity above all. Could have changed.
Service above self and integrity above all.
Yeah, I could be a little off about the second one, but I know that integrity and
Hmm.
honesty was a very big thing.
Hmm.
Lying about something in the military was stupid because lying to the guys at my school who were military,
Hmm.
that was not good either. I
You're like, no, heck no,
I
man.
respected the sentiment. So I told them that, look, I got a medical history, I got asthma, and I've just been doing my best to manage it, get rid of it, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Generic kind of looked a little bit disappointed, but but he respected the fact that when my potential CEO asked me the question and told me to be honest, I just delivered the mail. That was it. So
Respect, honesty, and delivery, man.
yeah,
Say that thing, dude.
he told me that I could not go to any hospitals, I could not use any medicine, and I couldn't have any particular known record of visitation or use for 1 year. And when I thought about that, that's when I realized that I was thinking way too small because I was just thinking, how can I survive the week without doing something? And even smaller than that, I was thinking, okay, how can I survive two 45-minute halves running, sprinting, you know, across the pitch, supporting my
Hmm.
team in a nonstop high stakes football match? I was thinking too small. And because I didn't have the discipline to think bigger picture, I didn't access the discipline to think bigger picture on it.
Hmm.
I stepped away. I decided to put the bandwagoning behind. And
Hmm.
I just told my family, which was a very awesome situation though. But I've told my family and my mom, look, I think the best thing for me to do is go back to Canada, give that a shot, see what I was made of. And then that's when entrepreneurship truly started. Fun fact,
Hmm.
fun fact.
Uh-huh.
The first business I ever started without all the licensing and paperwork was a lawn care
Hmm.
business.
No way.
Yes, way. I was
Wow.
12 years old. It was my 12th birthday. Dad, no, 13. somewhere in that range between the ages 12 and 14. Yeah, 12 and 14.
Hmm.
I was an avid BMX dirt jumper, and I wanted to do that kind of thing for the rest of my life, right? It seemed really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Bike broke, birthday comes up, dad comes over to me and says, "Hey, we're going to get you a new bike for your birthday. You just pick one." So we go to a bicycle shop to go check that out. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, I see this full suspension downhill bike in the back of the shop. It
Mm-hmm.
track on it. I grab the magazine, do all this 7, 8. I run over to my father's. I want that one.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll through, taking a look at everything. It was a $13,000.
They're expensive. They're expensive. I used to ride BMX back in the day too.
Sick. Well, the BMX,
Way back in the day. Uh-huh.
dude, that's awesome, man. The first,
Like, yeah, tail whips, crank flips, bar spins. It was a good time. It was a good time. Actually, I do have a question, bro. I do have a question. Um, as for that switch over from, or that turning point from military over to business, and we'll get to the BMX after because I want to relate on that. Um, you mentioned a marriage.
yeah,
Was that when you were 18, 19, going into that office? Or where did that marriage kind of pop up at? Got you. Okay, I was like, all right, let's wait. I think it's been a little while. All right, let's ask. Let's ask.
okay, so I'll narrow the story down.
Mhm. No, please don't. Honestly, dude, please don't. Please don't. Keep going. Keep going.
Dad told me he wasn't going to get that bike. I had to figure out how to get the bike myself. Within 2
Mhm.
days, I had come up with an idea to just raise the money. So I was going to cut lawns in the neighborhood against my parents' wishes. I decided that my ambitions were far more important than staying safe. And for people watching,
Mhm.
listening, I really hope they listen to this because these words scare people. My ambitions were more important than staying safe. I'm in a Caribbean household. If you break the rules, you usually get a paddling for it. We'll just call it that, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
In that moment in time, when I was challenged by my dad to find a
Mhm.
way, I wasn't thinking about that at all. There was no consequence in my mind. I just told myself, okay, we're going to do it. Let's do it.
Mhm.
Home, printed out flyers, put down 2 price tags for, a square lot, which is a side by side, and a corner lot, which is just a house that has a massive corner property to itself. Right behind the stop signs, there was plenty of them, right? The biggest lots in the neighborhood were typically at the corner of each each piece of road. And
Mhm.
yeah, I put out flyers and I said, I'll do this. I had 2 people call me.
Let's go.
The second day is when I got the first phone call, and I said, okay, he told me where the address was. I knew where the address was because he was on the same street that my best friend lived. I didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Caught up perfect
Perfect
timing.
timing.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, I didn't have a vehicle at the time, so I stacked all of my lawn equipment on top of each other,
Mhm.
and I just walked from my house to his house, and I started cutting the lawn. That's it. I just started cutting the lawn. My dad is an avid tennis player, right? So he
Mhm.
left. He was gone when I did this. When he came back, he's seen all of his lawn equipment gone. So he wanted to drive around the neighborhood to see what was going on because I wasn't home and he left me home. Lawn equipment's gone. And I'm not sure if he put 2 and 2 together, but the fact that he didn't call the police and decided to drive about lets me know that he kind of figured something was up. He found me cutting a lawn, spoke to the homeowner. Then my dad waited as I cut the lawn. The guy, I was charging him $25 to cut his lawn. He paid me 50. And that's when I discovered capitalism. My old man looked at me and didn't say a word. He helped me load his stuff back into his garage and then
Mhm.
onto his truck. We took it back. He was teaching me about what it takes to maintain this and keep it going. It was a bit of an emotional time because I had to pay for the gas. I was being naive, and I thought my dad was going to cover the petrol. He's like, no, you're paying for it. It's like, there goes half the money I made. But it was
He taught you investment at a very young age.
exactly. It was a very good lesson. He didn't provide the context. I had to discover the context myself and give it meaning. But
Mm-hmm.
dude,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. So the marriage part, just to bring that in, I went to Canada. I was working in kitchens for a bit, and then I quit that. I was working in retail as their shipping and handling. Got fired from that because I was by myself, and I was doing things which were a bit too dangerous to move larger materials out. And
Mm-hmm.
the method I was using, they saw as a liability, so I got removed. But eventually I stumbled across a direct sales marketing company. The guy hired me because he found out that I was Canadian, but I was also living in Florida and I surfed. And he's like, yo, that is so awesome. So he hired me off of just like cool relatabilities and stuff like that. And he always wanted to go surfing. I stayed with that company for 2 years. And even though there was a lot of competition, the top 3 people in the company, they were making like somewhere between like $1,200 per week to almost $3,500 per week. Well, I was consistently doing 550, 610, 550, 610. Sometimes it got to 7, but it was just consistent for 2 years. Because of the discipline that I had as a child from the men who disciplined me, not just my father, and from the ladies who, helped, not just my mom, I was able to maintain consistency, and I was able to use that same militaristic drive that was instilled in me about just get it done, find the solution, work the problem, respond, and never be afraid to ask questions, take the risk. Because taking the risk was more important. Not taking the risk had far more fear in me than staying comfortable. Because when I thought about staying comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I haven't earned the comfort yet because I didn't do the right thing to earn it. And the right thing was show up to the job every single day. It wasn't a job, it was a career path because they groom you to be a business owner from the entry,
Mm-hmm.
from the ground level. So yeah, I remember just doing it every single day, asking questions, reading the books, sharpening my mind, building a big list of know-how.
I have a question since you're describing all this. When you mentioned know the difference between a bad decision and a good decision,
Yeah.
how do you discern that?
The good decision has to complement the end goal or the milestone. That milestone must move you forward. There is no fluff. That decision that you make needs to be aligned indelibly with that end goal or milestone, and it must move you forward. You cannot be the same that you once. It's impossible. If you believe that you can stay the same person who you are right now, here's a good example because a mentor shared the same thing, which kind of lines up. If you believe that you can stay the same as you are right now, and you can handle or effortlessly receive the goals the achievements, the material gains, the skill sets that your future self has,
Mm-hmm.
then you're being foolish. Because let's be honest, the future you has more responsibilities,
Makes sense.
more skills, more opportunities than you have right now. The instant you ask yourself the question, what did my future self do to get um, a stronger relationship with health, wealth, love, and happiness? As guys, what did my future self do to have wife and kids? What did my future self do to land those houses or be able to effortlessly, because in our minds, it seems effortless, right? Our mind can't tell the difference between good and bad. It like from a spoken word perspective, it just goes with energy. Wherever energy goes, that's where the focus is. What what did what did my future self do to what it seems like effortlessly manage this business, nurture this relationship? Oh, okay, they developed skills, they developed knowledge, they developed themselves in order to have those experiences. Okay, so therefore, when you marry those two, growth is required. You have to go through the growing pains in order to reach excellence. You can't stay the same. And here's a good example.
Yep.
Are you 5 years old right now, or are you in your 30s? Just think about it. Think about it. Are you 5 years old, or are you in your 30s? Okay. You can have any recollection of your favorite pair of trousers that you wore when you was 5 years of age? No, nobody remembers the trousers they wore when they were 5. They just get the baby pictures that their mom shares because they still remember little Nathan or little Johaan. But the beautiful thing is, you grew up. You went through the growing pains. You matured. You cannot be wearing trousers that fit a 5-year-old young man.
I do want to add on to that too. I got a question I want to add on to that too. Just kind of remember that 5-year-old self. Like always have that internally.
Yeah.
But always know that you're 30 years old right now, or 40, 28, or freaking 50.
Yeah.
Whatever. But always have that like internal 5-year-old inside, and it really comes out when you're by yourself, or just snowboarding, freaking BMXing, or I don't know, working out.
Yeah.
Something like always keep that inner child in.
It's super important. I made a statement about that in the School of Mentors to listen to your inner child. Your inner child is connected to your abundance and also your fun factor. Your inner child helps you create effortlessly. That's the person holding on to imagination, creativity, and curiosity. And we should do that more often.
We should. We really, really should. When you said abundance too, man, like that's little side story. And the question I want to ask will come back up. A little side story. When I don't know, like recently, like within this past month or so, I've been really not like tapping into my inner child, but being exalted to be humbled. And during that, I just kept that inner child, which is like the love that I have for myself. And just the abundance just started coming in. We're on a podcast now. I had my brother hit me up in the first time in 11 years. Marketing deals were coming in. Freaking, I started traveling a little bit more. Started waking up at a consistent time. Started eating got so much better. And just like, that's really true you say that. Like after you have your inner child inside and like able to bring it out, that's where the abundance comes. And just having the inner child is just having love for yourself. Like literally kind of what we're all seeing right now. Like when that light shines out, that's your inner child just coming out when you're 30 years old or 28 years old or however old you are.
Yeah.
And that question I want to ask you, bro, for that growth and that growing pain and discerning the bad decision from the right decision. There's a lot of pressure that is involved with growth.
Yeah.
How do you handle all that pressure?
Oh, that's a really great question. That is a really great question. So not only do I say this for those watching and listening, but I also say this for the younger version of me in my early 20s, who was definitely on a consistent uphill battle to prove himself in the world of business that he deserved to be there. And that if he could see who I am right now, he would be at peace knowing that, dang, we're really doing it now. Good. So to answer that question, how do I handle that pressure? Do you remember the monument of the soldiers who are stumbling behind each other to hold up the American flag on top of the hill?
Yes.
Awesome. In my mind, when it comes to that particular pressure, I see that pressure as fuel. the direction that I'm heading is the direction that I chose. This is a non-performative list of responsibilities, right? Which I alone created for my enjoyment. That's the thing. I'm going to say that again. This is for my enjoyment. It's a performative pathway that I chose, which is for my enjoyment. This is not for my punishment.
And that pressure is the fuel to get to the joy.
Yeah, there's a razor thin mark. I'll say it like this, just to answer your question. For me personally, when I was receiving pressure, it was a sign that I was going in the right direction. I chose to become an entrepreneur. I chose to find solutions so that I can gain a foothold in a very niche area where I'm irreplaceable. I chose to take risks for the bigger picture, not the immediate payout, for the bigger picture.
Okay.
Every time pressure came up, that was not a bug. It is a feature of the choice that I made. Most people, when pressure comes up, they don't have that understanding. Some people, they don't have that mentality. They have yet to develop the mentality that sees that pressure as a clear sign that I'm going in the right direction. Oh, okay, pressure. How do I work the problem and respond to it? How do I choose to respond to it? How do I choose to show up to that pressure?
So this is basically persecution in a biblical understanding.
Well, it's long suffering without the blood being spilled, without bones being broken, without being like harassed or helicoptered over and having your actions micromanaged. It's less of,
And all of those is an indicator that you're going in the right direction.
exactly. Now,
That's all.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Somebody said, pick your heart. I think it was David Goggins who said, pick your heart. It's really, it's truly hard to sit around, do nothing, pick up the phone, doom scroll, see some random 15-year-old who's already broken through the barrier of business. And by the time they turn 21, they're a 6-figure, 7-figure earner sitting on the ground in front of a mid-high 6-figure or an entry-level $1 million car. Right? And then you complain, you blame, justify, and condemn situations, circumstances, and opportunities that you have no contextual knowledge on, and you put yourself in the victim state. That's difficult. That's a very, very
Got you.
that's a slow choking pressure. It's a slow choking pressure. Now, that's one side of the spectrum. On the opposite side of the spectrum is what I explained earlier. A lot of A players love competition. I used to be an avid footballer. I used to play center as a striker and then left wing, right wing to diversify myself, right? So I was always in the striker positions. I chose to be a midfielder at the time during my competitive days. And I always recognized two types of athletes. The first athlete is the person who sees competition as a great opportunity to burn the tank dry, hold nothing back, give it your best, come up with the best strategy. They were eager to figure out, how am I going to defeat my opponent? How am I going to get past my opponent? How am I going to get the goal? Who can I trust in that moment of pressure to help me get the goal? The networking aspect, the trust aspect, the brotherhood aspect, the community aspect. You have a job to do. And I'm going to kind of explain the military ego side of things, but it's more systematic, right?
Please do.
Yeah. We're on a team. You've got your job. You've got your job. You know what you're supposed to do. I don't have to question anybody. We're going to go for this objective. The objective is the goal. We need 7 points at best within the first quarter, the first half. And then we're going to repeat that despite the goals that we make in the second half, and we're going to keep on the pressure strategically. And then we'll create a way for the other lads to get off the bench and come into the play so everybody is contributing to this win. Do you get it? Good.
Mhm.
Let's go. Execute. And we were all, it didn't matter if the other teams was bigger. My school was small. We had a single bench. Others had two benches deep of athletes that they can just, swap out, fresh legs.
Mhm.
But that didn't stop us. We still
Wow, you really
we still push forward.
that. Mhm. Mhm. That brotherhood, that connection, that like networking aspects.
Yeah, it was a it's
I'm seeing that it plays a huge role in getting not only the mission done, not only what all of you are trying to accomplish, but like it's a huge factor in your personal growth and your relationship with God or relationship with each other.
everything. And then like the opposite
Hmm.
side of the coin, just to give it context before we go on to the next question or just to further it on, is a lot of people who fold under the pressure, they get into their heads too much and they don't see this as an exciting opportunity to test to see what they're made of. They don't have that language, they don't have that environment. They think very low of themselves. And in the midst of competition, pressure, entrepreneurship, goals to hit, KPIs to meet, they would they romanticize the terrible outcomes that do not exist in that moment, and they psych themselves out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So
They let their mind overtake them.
exactly. So there's two types of pressure. One pressure forges diamonds, another pressure removes you from existence. Pick the pressure that forms you into diamonds. Diamonds are more valuable. Pick the pressure that shapes you as a man or a woman in every aspect from the top down. And
The pressure.
I think what is it? Neil deGrasse Tyson in the masterclass, the masterclass.com, where a lot of
Hmm.
people, yeah, he mentioned something
I
about
think
taking
so. I think
responsibility.
so.
Yeah, he mentioned something about this, about when talking about the frontier. When you choose to step out onto the frontier, you can no longer be intellectual. You can no longer be intellectually ignorant or intellectually lazy. You can't choose that.
Hmm.
Think about
Hmm.
think about the frontier as the boundless, limitless arena for excellence. You took two steps in the direction, like into that unknown, and you
Hmm.
outgrown every single person in the past that you thought was super important. You outgrew them because you took responsibility for you.
Hmm. So it's the pressure inside the frontier to make those decisions to be a better you while surrounded with the team.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. You just some amazing advice, bro. Amazing information.
Thank you.
That's crazy. You're welcome. You're welcome, man. I never knew that you're into BMX.
God, dude. um, my action.
Tell me what, man, that's crazy, man. I used to do freaking BMX all the time back in the day.
When I was younger, I came. This is kind of like a personal inside story, right? I was a big
Mm-hmm.
fan of this cartoon called Rocket Power when I was a kid, and yeah, so Rocket Power is the story of these young kids, a brother, a younger brother, older sister, and two best friends who lived in the neighborhood. The father of the brother and sister happened to be uh he happened to be an adrenaline junkie as a younger person,
Mm-hmm.
and he got married
It's
around the time that he.
it's a cool feeling.
Oh yeah, he got married at a time when he was a surfer. The entirety
Mm-hmm.
of that cartoon, the mother was absent, but the father, he held it down. He owned the Shore Shack, which was basically a surf and turf, burgers and fries, smoothies, ice cream type of.
All the time on the beach, those little things you see.
Yeah, and it was basically cast. It was basically cast in California on one of the most famous beaches with an incredible amusement park in the background. That's where the Shore Shack was cast in California. That's where this was
Okay.
is supposed to be depicted. And these kids, they were skimboarding, surfing, skating, snowboarding, freestyle skiing, downhill BMX, just doing some of the craziest stuff.
The whole extreme.
Roller hockey. Oh yeah, and it really intrigued me as a kid, and I got involved in skateboarding first, right? So
Mhm.
skateboarding first, and then BMX second. I was getting to a point where well, I was getting to a point where I started making my own ramps
Like,
and just hitting those
mhm.
at my neighbor's house across the street, he and his brother would go out to the mountains on their downhill bikes, and they would go through those trials. And I wanted to get good enough to go with them to those scenes and just like live it up. But yeah, I did.
It's a little competition right there.
Yeah, I had a Mongoose BMX bike that was, kind of feather light, but I
That was my first bike ever too, man. That's crazy.
no bar spin tricks, nothing, no rail
Uh-huh.
style tricks or coping style tricks.
Double peg, fever hard, the
Yep.
whole thing.
Yep. I just
Uh-huh.
wanted to hit jumps and transition over things. I've taken a couple hard slams too. Got the wind knocked out of me.
That's sick.
Sank the tailbone into the ground. Just kind of like rolled it off a bit. Come home.
You were doing this on the ground.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Absolutely. From home.
Good times, man.
My mom is looking at me like, "What did you do?" It's like, "Oh, we just went to the Wickham Park place, one of the middle schools or high schools around here. The kids were also BMX enthusiasts.
Mhm.
What they did is that they took shovels, and like you would in BC, British Columbia, Canada, you would go out into the mountain areas with the shovels, or to the area where the jumps were, and you'd
Mhm.
groom the ramps.
Yep.
You'd groom the ramp,
Yep.
groom the berms, you set everything up.
Hold a shovel, spray a little bit of water.
Yep. Get some mulch or some loose. Just get some mulch on one of the landing ports, so you can practice,
Mhm.
your tricks and all that. And I was into it for a long time. I stopped when my bike broke, and that's
Mhm.
that's when the journey stopped. I stayed with skateboarding.
With biking.
Oh yeah, I
Mhm.
biking I was definitely getting into until the bike broke. So I can say, like, out of all of the things that I've done action sports wise, the only sports equipment that I've ever broken was
Mhm.
BMX bike, because I was going that hard. I've never broken a skateboard. I currently surf. I have damaged
Mhm.
multiple surfboards, which is good. So it just shows that
Mhm.
there's some progress there.
You're going to that pressure cooker. You're determined. You know you're doing the right thing, breaking all those boards.
Learning.
And the one bike that led to the surfboards.
It was a wild thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy, man.
that discipline carries over, because like once you start committing and you taking your slams, you get back up and you try again. Like, it's so rewarding to actually land that trick. So it's awesome.
Heck yeah.
What
Heck yeah, man.
what did you ride? You said you had a mongoose bike as well.
Yeah, that was that was my first ever bike that my parents bought me. And that was, I don't know, like 2005, 2007. It was a Christmas, and went into the living room, saw a huge mongoose bike. I'm like, dude, no way. Took a long break for like maybe like a few years, and then one day I just screwed it. I'm gonna just hop on the bike. Hopped on the bike, and this is kind of what did it for the next, I think it was 7 years. The next 7 years, just riding BMX bikes, doing tricks and everything. Grabbed it, went across the street to my neighbor's house. So it's my house, the street, and my neighbor's house. And it was at the corner. There's a curb with no walkway on it. It was just a curb street. This is what did it, dude. Literally was hauling my behind on the bike. Popped a little wheelie, jumped off. I was like, all right, this is me. This is me. This is me right here. I'm going all in, going all in. And it's simple, and it just resonated with me so much. That tiny little hint of adrenaline
Yeah.
just kept me going for like the next 7 years on that bike, dude.
Oh, let's.
I got pretty into it, man. I got pretty into it.
Yeah, man. Shoot. So many good memories. Honestly, as I look at my life right now, one of the key things that I definitely wanted to do was do downhill mountain biking as a pastime. For sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it just slope style. If somebody ever talks me into like, yo, let's go to the foam pit and do some stuff, and I got a full suspension bike and the foam pit's deep enough and it's wide enough, then I will work on some freestyle tricks. I will do it because I can do it. And it'll be, I'll be on cloud nine for the rest of the day, and that's just the benefit of being me and having my ability. But
Heck yeah.
yeah, man, shoot.
Heck yeah, man.
What other questions did you have for me regarding the
Yeah, let's do
just entrepreneurship and just growth and overall? Because I wouldn't say there's a lot to cover. Because we can do like we can come back and meet again. I know it's 107, and I can give.
Yeah, how much time do you have?
I gotta give a quick call to. Let me get a quick call to this real quick to see if I have time. If not, if he only has time to chat right now, then I'll have to hop off and we'll need to reconvene to do the episode again.
Okay.
Then
let's do. Do you have time for just one more question? Then
yeah, I
round two later.
I got time for one more question. Just let me give this phone call out real quick, and then I'll do that.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do your thing, man.
Viewers, what's up? Johaan, we met in. Give you a little. What was I gonna say? Backstory on how Johaan and I met. We both joined the School of Mentors. I don't know if you guys saw or see School of Hard Knocks on YouTube with James. I forget his last name, but he's 21, 22, 23-year-old just crushing it, going all over to Beverly Hills, New York, and all that. Tell the viewers how we met.
Awesome.
And James, dude, like freaking just going all around Beverly Hills, Texas, all those main cities, and just interviewing millionaires and billionaires on their mindsets, on their information. We joined his community, and that's exactly how we met. It's exactly how we met, dude. Just so freaking grateful for that. So grateful for that. So, Johaan, welcome back, bro. One last question, because I know you have to go.
No, I got time.
You got a little bit of time? Sweet. So you mentioned downtime when you were doing that downhill biking. I want to kind of transfer over to entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
How do you implement like a good downtime whenever you're working to make sure you take care of yourself?
It was easy for me to do when I met with fitness trainers at a gym in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm trying to remember the chain. It was World Health Edmonton. That's what it was called. So I started to get the cash flow. I put myself into the gym. I told them I need to do some maintenance on the body to see where I'm at, make sure I'm staying fit and healthy. And we were talking about how, in a sense, like health is wealth. Health is wealth. Didn't smoke. Maybe I drank, but it wasn't enough to greatly affect the body. And I avoided getting drunk like the plague. And it was one of those things where I was like the alcoholism, it wasn't an issue for me, but I just didn't want it to be an issue for me. I didn't want to invite it as an issue. So it quickly faded away. And I quickly, stepped into the gym and whatnot. And I want to make sure that I'm answering your question properly. It was more so like, how do I utilize the downtime effectively to focus on me?
Correct. To make sure that you take care of yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. Guys, we're not going to live forever. Ladies, we're not going to live forever. We are smart enough to know exactly what we need to be putting in the body. And if we do not know, we need to make sure that this gets full maintenance. It's not just,
Mhm.
it's, you can, what is it? My football coach gave me this, which rang true still to this day for me. I used to be the most ripped and the most chiseled character on the team. My coach told me it doesn't matter if you look the most pristine on this lineup if your body doesn't perform like it. In
Mm-hmm.
practice and in the game. And I took that,
Mm-hmm.
but see, and that kind of touches base on the pressure question that you asked earlier. When my coach put that in front of me, I said, okay, that's an invitation. The body needs to perform properly. The mind needs to perform properly. I can't just look like I was chiseled from a statue. I need to make sure that I'm performing like a soldier. I just can get the job done. I recover quickly. I'm thinking move
Mm-hmm.
ahead, and I'm doing what I need to do to take care of the body. So what did that look like? All the
Exactly. And then, guys, I want to quick thing before you do continue. I want to add on too. Make sure you stretch. Like, make sure you stretch before you do anything. Stretch every single day. That's how you get that mobility and your soldier-like physique,
yeah,
soldier-like mobility, and then your mind will be totally fine.
ex-
Your mind will be able to pursue your big dreams that you have in order to love yourself, in order to pray good, in order to read your Bible every single day, in order to have these type of conversations. Stretch. That's it. That's my take. Continue, brother.
So for the guys, I'll just make it very simple. This is how I utilized my time. I utilized my downtime to focus on me based upon the things that I valued most, which you cannot you can't borrow. You cannot borrow. We're here on borrowed time in borrowed days. I'll say it again. We are here
Yeah.
on borrowed time with borrowed bodies and borrowed gifts. It is our responsibility to max them out, to invest them properly, to use them properly, to apply them properly. So, my downtime,
God's creation.
I'll use
Take care of it.
I'll use my 20s as a good example just to give you guys some context. I did not have a mentor, but I was afraid of being a lost muppet in the country of my birth, which is Canada. I didn't want to present myself or be seen as someone who was incompetent. So I discovered Ty Lopez, who came up with uh, his first delivery of the 67 steps. If you don't know it, ask somebody in his community about the first 67 steps. And one of the things that he mentioned in them is, it's okay to learn from mistakes. They don't have to be yours. Another thing that he hinted at, which was one of the steps he had, is choose your mentors wisely. I read books. I didn't have a physical mentor in front of me, but I read books. I read personal development books. I needed to figure out what smart supplementation was for my body. I had to figure out what foods was working for me, what is not working for me. I had to study what the circadian rhythm was in protecting my sleep pattern. I didn't know that sleep patterns could be protected. I was being juvenile, but then when I read that book, I realized, oh, great, I can no longer be intellectually ignorant or lazy. I know what this is, how, and the know-how was provided. I took care of my body, and I did so from an athlete's perspective. Nathan, you nailed it on the head. Flexibility, the more flexible you are, the more you're able to prevent injury. And also for the people who are in the gym, the more flexible you are, the more muscle groups you can target, which also helps to build real strength, but also helps with injury prevention.
I never do that.
Dude, I'll,
Yeah, dude, I was just over the flexibility on that.
yeah.
No way. No way.
So I'll give you some good insights. Not only was I in the gym doing regular workouts, right? I needed to find a challenge. So when I was in Edmonton back in 2013 to 2015, I was in the gym doing the preventative work, but also stress testing the body. I want to stress test everything. Like shoulder health, anything on the body that you are trying to work on to be aesthetically pleasing, but also to perform at a drop of a hat on demand.
Without even thinking about it.
Yep. Muscle memory, mind body technique, reaction speed, you name it. You have to train that part. You have to stretch that part of the body out. But it's also good to think about the common injuries that happen for those parts of the body. And you have to just train the body with preventative injury in mind. Prevention.
And then once you start stretching, you get that like tiny little muscle that you didn't even expect to have right here. Once you hit that right and get it out, that's when you get the opportunity to grow that part.
Yep.
Am I getting that right?
Yep. You can.
Wow. It's kind of like you just activate it.
Exactly. The muscles that you do not activate or use on a consistent basis are the ones that get injured the most.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just to top off that list, what I did to make sure that I was sharpening my saw, a lot of, and this kind of hits home for a lot of people watching and listening, because you probably know somebody like this. On their downtime, they're probably watching Netflix, trying to finish the entire series. They're probably putting junk food in the body, alcohol, weed, cigarettes, hard liquor, you name it. They're probably another thing. They probably gone pretty comfortable doing some unnecessary things which don't really benefit the body. So reading is one thing, smart supplementation is another, staying active is another. But on your downtime, reaching out to the individuals who motivate you, who have a fraction, a half, 3/4 of the whole pie of what you want in life, and trying to get in front of them and asking them questions, figuring out how you can help them. That's my downtime. That was my downtime in my 20s. I'm reaching out to, I'll give you a good example of one of my downtimes that I.
And actually, quick thing before you do go into the downtime. If anyone is stuck in those bad habits that you just can't seem to get out of, or if you're comfortable in smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, cocaine, drinking, girls, freaking porn, sitting around on the couch all day, if you're stuck in that, there is a way out by talking to the peers and asking those questions and not being afraid to ask those questions. That's how you start to get out of that. And two things: know that there is a way out, and become addicted to those good things, like the reading, going to the gym, going outside, work. Not all the time, because you don't want to be a workaholic.
Yeah.
Drink water. Put a little bit of electrolytes in there. Put a little bit of Himalayan salt. You don't taste it at all. Be addicted to the good habits instead of the ones that make you comfortable and harm your body and get you away from Jesus. Because if you have no one else to ask questions to, you got Jesus right up there, right in your heart, to ask him at any time you want.
Absolutely.
He's the best mentor out there. You gain him as a mentor, you get anyone as a mentor.
Exactly. I wanted to add a context to yourself to that as well. A lot of guys out here, they're struggling in many areas of life, and they don't have the community, they don't have the network.
Yeah.
And some of them don't even have the environments, the arenas where their excellence can shine and their potential can be stretched. I'll give you a practice of mine. You, those watching and listening, like me, are multidimensional thinkers. If the version of you right now is doing something which you know is destructive, which you know is not acceptable in the public eye, it's something you cannot do in broad daylight, and it's also something that is not going to bear fruit for 5 or 10 years down the road, understand this. There's a version of you who is doing something completely different, which can be public, which is awesome, which is positive, and is beneficial to not just yourself, but others 10 years, 15 years in greater down the road. That version of you exists right now. In order for you to make choices out of whatever the hell you're doing, in order for changes to happen, you have to question what it is you're doing. You have to ask yourself, is this particular action, habit, mindset in the monologue, is that going to, what does that look like 10 years from now? And do I really want to be doing those things 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the hard truth. If you're embarrassed about the stuff you're doing right now, that's an opportunity to pivot. The opportunity to pivot is very freaking small.
Yep.
The blade that cuts through paper is not 1 inch thick. It's razor thin.
Mm-hmm.
And that pivot point to decide to choose the greatest version of you, who's doing the right things to gain success, who's asking the right questions, who's cutting all the fat out of your life and just leaning out on the things which you should be disciplined on versus what you're currently focusing on, which isn't helping you. It's a simple choice. If you can bring awareness to what you're doing right now, then not only can you make the changes to do something better, at that point in time, that's a superpower to master. You master,
It really is.
yeah, you master that.
And guys,
You can make a decision and pivot in any direction, in any particular direction. It's okay to change for the better. It is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely 100% okay to change for the better. And it's also important to change for you. Not mom, not dad, not the girl, not the man's, and not anybody else. Make yourself the priority. It's okay to change for you because at the beginning, middle, and the end of the day starts with you first and it ends with you. So make sure you're in a good position by choosing the good choices.
You got to be able to start the day on looking at yourself and either think or say out loud, the person you're looking in the mirror, I love you. And you start to smile a little bit and you genuinely feel that. Same feeling that you tell your mom, your dad, your grandma, your brother, your sister, your woman, your man's, your whatever. That same feeling that you tell them, that you genuinely mean it. Just like Johan's saying, the hard truth in the morning, you got to do that to yourself. And at night, same exact thing. And I'm telling you, once you have that confidence and that charisma and that courage to go through with whatever the hell you're doing, at night, it is so much easier to look at yourself in the mirror and tell you, I love you, after conquering the day with whatever you're doing. And in the morning, it's a little harder. That's when you don't genuinely feel it, that's when you pray. It's when you go to Jesus. It's when you go to God. God, what do I got to do right now to get my heart back? How? And then your mind will start to go, but once you get to a point of truly, like when it's stick on this topic, truly looking at yourself in the mirror and being proud of and loving that person, it's going to become easier to tell you I love you in the mirror in the morning. And when you don't feel it, you go to God, you start like racing your mind. That race in the mind will become shorter. It will become easier to just surrender to him and say, God, I'd pray, and you just start praying for whatever's going on. And I wanted to add on too with the not defining yourself, but the point that Johan was saying about yourself. If you got to isolate Isolate. Cautiously and safely. Don't just go freaking lost in the wilderness with no water, no freaking, no protection, no gas. Don't do that. Don't be a wreck. If you gotta isolate, go to your favorite park, go to the beach, go to mountains, safely. Bring some water, make sure your car's with gas. If you're walking, find someone with a car, because I really want to go to the mountains with just walking.
Oh, yeah.
But seriously, dude, in all seriousness, if you have to isolate for a little bit, please do. Because it does two things. It builds the love that you have for yourself even stronger, and you get closer with Jesus. And just do it cautiously. Do it safely. Because there's people out there that love you. There's people out there that care about you. Make sure that you come back to them with yourself, stronger and better.
I only got a couple minutes left, so I wanted to share a framework of this.
Yeah. One more share, and then freaking 1% better than yesterday, man.
So, for the members watching and listening, I wanted to share with you a framework that I developed ever since I was from the age of 12 all the way to my current 30s today. And I made this in a very simple 4-step passage, in a 4-step point. This 4-step framework is going to help you really sit within yourself and make informed, educated decisions based from a position of self-trust. There's a lot of people out here who have outsourced their trust to other people. Like they wouldn't trust themselves yet because a particular person that they have deemed or said is above them or greater than them, and whether it be social accolades, business achievements, marital status, or other levels of status, that person hasn't recognized you as an individual, so you wouldn't trust yourself because you're not the other person. It's a little backwards. And that's what society would hope that you would do, because the power really lies within you. Let me give you this framework. So it's the 4 A's of change. So acknowledge, accept, allow, achieve. Say that somebody's going through a rough patch. I know a lot of guys are going out into a rough patch, right? The beautiful thing is we live in a world where there's so much technology at our fingertips. It can be used as a tool to distract you, or it can be used as an asset to sharpen you. You got to think, which direction do you want to choose, right? So acknowledge the position that you're in right now might not be favorable. Okay. When you acknowledge this and you want to make changes, your nervous system is immediately going to expand into the alternative reality. You have accepted that the place that you are in right now is not the best place, and that there's an alternative where you can be in a better place. You already have accepted that a better place exists. Now, here's the part that a lot of people don't like. I myself included did not like this part. It took me 12 years to get this part down. I had to allow myself to step away from the way I wanted it done and allow the world to show me something new that was outside of my comfort zone, that would stretch me and grow me into the person that was eligible, that was available, that was capable of achieving that desired goal. So again, acknowledge, accept, allow, achieve. Out of all of those, the most challenging part that took me 12 years to get down was the allow part, because 1, I was stubborn. 2, I had ego. 3, I didn't want to give my agency or my life over to another person, because I was afraid the other person would not take the time to get to know who I was. They would be intellectually ignorant with how I looked, how I sounded, where I was in my life, and they would overlook me. This is very true for a lot of guys. It's the self-judgment thing, the self-loathment thing. Trust me, there's another part of you where you are confident right down to the very etches in your bones, and nothing is going to change that. And there's a version of you that knows this. That version of you currently exists, so you got to lock in. Lock in on that.
Do it.
And then once you
Do it. Do it. Do it.
exactly, once you do that, you have to go through the allowance part. That's where the pressure comes in. That pressure of you making changes, of you doing something outside of the normal, outside of your comfort zone, that's a confirmation that you're going in the right way. It's a confirmation that you're growing. Guys, I'm just going to leave it off at this. It's our mission to grow into excellence. We're not going to be given excellence immediately, because if we were given excellence immediately, we would drop the ball. Then we would blame somebody else. Why didn't it work out? No.
Mm-hmm.
Diamonds are made under pressure. We have to go through the pressure. We have to go through the discipline. Like in the martial arts, you can't just go from a white belt to a black belt. You can't just go from somebody who's day one in the army and then next day you're a Green Beret. You can't just join the Navy, then one day you're Navy SEALs. You can't do that. You can't go into the Marines and end up MARSOC within a week. It's impossible. You can't go from...
Can't skip steps.
Yeah.
You cannot skip steps.
I mean, and this may be a little bit controversial. This may be a little controversial, but...
Okay, let it out. Let it out.
You can't go from being a teenager in an adult boy's... You can't be a teenager in an adult man's body and expect to have the same respect, outlook, and connection that the future you, who is a husband, earned through work. You got to put in the work.
And those four A's, being that's a good one, man. Being that teen, I want to add on to it that being that teenage boy stuck in that adult man's body, how to get back to it, the 4 A's. And once you get to allowing yourself to that adult body, just like Johaan said, I 1,000 a million times agree. That is the hardest part, because you are dropping everything that is wrong with you in order to get to your greatness. Even with me,
Man,
allowing myself, one more quick thing, allowing myself to succumb that I used to be a womanizer, allowing myself that I succumbed to me not listening, stubborn, freaking drug addicts, alcoholic. Allowing myself to get past that was the hardest freaking thing, because I had to literally die to my old self in order to get to my new one and achieve the greatness that God made all of us to be.
Exactly. And I want to just kind of flip that, because it's being the adult, but you're stuck in the teenage body. Yeah, because
Got you. Okay.
And just to provide context, it's like, okay, you're 35 years of age, but you're acting like Will Ferrell on set.
Like a 14-year-old.
Yeah, you act like Will Ferrell is during Talladega Night. People aren't taking you seriously. They see this in your mouth, and it's like, wow, you're just taking the nosedive here. Why? And
it's like your physical presence is, oh my goodness, but then once you start to hear what's coming out, you're like,
no, yeah, and no,
is he okay?
No disrespect to Will Ferrell. No disrespect to Will. He was just an example like that.
Well, bro, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're the man we all look up to, dude. Talladega Nights, shake it, baby.
Yeah, it's a
man.
I really truly enjoyed this podcast.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Let's call it here, because there was a couple things I'm going to share with you afterwards. But yeah, let's do this again and go from there.
Love to have you on the second round, man. Dude, thank you so much for being part of the first part of this journey. Thank you for helping me in such a dark time. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And guys, later on the podcast, I'll be more than happy to dive into all of the trials that God put in my way in order to get me to allow myself to become the greatness that God made it to be and achieve all the abundance that He literally has just waiting. So man, thank you so much for being the first guest on here. I want to end every episode, every podcast with a prayer. Can I pray for you?
Please, I welcome it.
Let's bow our heads. Father God, I pray that my brother Johaan right here. Actually, first off, thank you for everything that you have done within my life, within my family's life, within Johan's life, within his trials that you put his way in order to get to the man that he is today. I thank you for putting us together in order to connect. And I pray that Johaan continues to grow, continues to learn, continues to get massive, massive amounts of connections in order to build his business, in order to build himself, and in order to have him grow closer to you. Lord Jesus Christ, in Lord Jesus Christ, my name we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
So everyone, Johaan, thank you so much. Any last words, brother?
Stay at it. Stay at it. If you're still alive and you still have imagination, creativity, and curiosity, you still have work to do. If you're breathing, God's not done with you yet. You still have work to do. So, on your feet, let's get to it.
Amen. Amen. Everyone, welcome to the Nathan Pablik Show. God bless every single one of you. Remember that Jesus loves you. Stay healthy.
Stay powerful.
Everyone, peace out.